This is To Wit, a podcast for women in tech doing life. I'm Melinda Smith.
And I'm Christy Campbell.
Whoop, whoop. I got to change your name in my phone, by the way.
And it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday.
Also,
though I for real said on a phone call today, I don't know what day it is. I don't know.
Oh, happy hump day?
Yes.
Yes. Well, we're not together anymore. Thank you to everybody who listened to us moving our microphone around while we drank champagne.
I'm back to the closet, relegated. You know, Mike Gerhold gave us, or I guess me specifically, a suggestion just to get these soundproof, like, egg crates.
Yeah.
Not egg crates, you know what I mean? And I keep thinking I should do it because there's plenty of space downstairs where
I could. Too echoey right now.
It's really echoey downstairs. So I'm like, if I do it up here, where I don't want to, then is it like a transformed podcasting room? Like I put it up and take it down. I'm like, that all sounds hard too. Mm-hmm. So here we are, back in the closet.
Just make yourself like a jacket out of egg crates. I'm sure that'd go well.
A tent.
Yeah, there you go. Just a little. I love how I'm gesturing, but only you can see me.
For anybody that is following and is taking note, yes, this is 43. Yes, we have missed an Allies episode. Yes, we will get to it. Life has just been busy.
Well,
we've been, conferencing and
there's no one here to tell us what to do, so we're just gonna do what we want.
This is our podcast.
We gotta interview people if we don't want to.
Next month, though, we have a cool interview with Jace and Corey from the .org side, talking about just cool .org stuff, and right before one of their next sprints. So we'll get to that later. So that is a guest, and I just thought of another one. I think I promised the end of last month. So yeah, I'm nailing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll catch up eventually. I think, that's one of the great things with the community events is that it refreshes I should have you on the podcast people.
Yeah.
And the people who were like, I recognize your voice and want your stickers and or haven't heard of it. And then you get to talk to them because you're forced them to take a sticker. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of
pins made.
Interview faces. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with enamel pins now. But I even created ones for the MVP party, which has I'm not organizing that. I was like, let's make a pin. We're going to do this and this. And anyway, so I kiboshed both of them because
I'm pretty impressed that I'm sort of the voice of reason on that. I wasn't anticipating that because if you could have ordered 300 pins, you would have done it in a minute.
I absolutely would. I was just trying to be smart. I kind of feel like I'm bleeding money left and right these days. And I'm like, you're being silly. Just stop it. So I stopped it. I'm not happy about it, but I did.
I mean, adulting is not very fun sometimes.
It's not for everybody. That's for sure.
So just to get the, check the box for my dad out of the way, I'm just teasing. But let's talk about some actual Salesforce things. What have you learned or learnt?
I get that from Gemma.
Learnt?
I'm learnt. Yes. So this new project I'm on, I'm getting more exposure to Marketing Cloud, which is kind of cool. Actually, it's really cool. But we are kind of doing things a little bit backwards, which is not to say that is a bad connotation. We're just building a lot of stuff in the Sales Cloud instance to talk to Marketing Cloud and yada, yada. But I have gotten to see it finally. Because like Pardot, you don't just get a playground. I can't just pop in. I can't check out Audience Builder or any of that stuff. So I've gotten to actually get to look at it and play with it. So more of I got to play with this than I learned. I learned about, building audiences and contact strategy and strategy execution, all these cool stuff. I mean, when I first started on this Salesforce path, I got to admin the Marketo instance that we had, and it was super fun. And I loved all of it. I wrote very brief contact content as I do. Like, I'm going to tell you what you need to know in 3 bullet points. And the marketing team was like, maybe we could add a few more words. No, it's unnecessary.
Well,
So needless to say, I stopped writing the copy.
okay.
But anyways, so it's very fun to play with it and see it. And the new project I'm on is all forward thinking and IoT and Roku and lightning, and it's all fun and new and sexy, and I'm having a good time.
In my mind, you just said Roku instead of Heroku, and I'm like, you're programming to a TV, but no,
You don't know.
that's true.
IoT,
Hey, it's everywhere. So, I went to some great sessions at Forcelandia,
Jealous.
which is a great place to, as an self-identified admin developer, to go to sessions where I'm expecting to just be supportive of my friends, and then I learn things in sessions where I expected not to learn things because, like, oh, this is for developers, right? So,
Right.
but there was also, well, so I love that I say developers, but then there's a session on flow, but it was interesting because 2 reasons. It was by two lovelies from Slalom, and things I liked about it. They talked about flows with subflows, and I think that speaks to more similar development patterns of reusing parts of code when you can. So, kind of modularizing. So, like, let's say that you need to, you know, iterate over a thing to create enough records to, you need 3 things, iterate until you've made the 3 things, and then come back. Right. And then if you have to do that again with another, it's just a different variable that you're sending in. So they did a thing about like a catering company and you're ordering sandwiches and salads. So the flow starts by asking you how many of each that you need. Then it goes and creates as many sandwich records as you need in a subflow, comes back and lets you customize each of the records you just created, and then it actually puts them into a collection. Then it goes back to that subflow, creates all the sandwich or salad records that you need, asks you to customize them, adds that to a collection, and then does one update to those records that you created in those
And how does that look
reusable loops.
on my end? Is it still just walking me through a simple
Yeah,
flow,
like,
but they're in the back end, it's flow, subflow, flow, subflow.
yes, because the subflows are auto launched flows. They're not screen flows. So they're
Gotcha.
not, you're not going
Okay.
to
So it just brings it
see.
back up. Okay.
Yeah, so it's doing the thing to then give you things to see in that example. But it was just interesting because, again, I feel like, your triggers should just call classes. They shouldn't do the things themselves, and like other kind of concepts that I like to try and translate to the admin side. Um, but one other thing that I thought was really smart, and there was some issues with projecting sometimes, not as much with wireless. I mean, but in any conference, right? Like
Like your
with all of us
reactions.
nerds, like wireless could be slow. And
Yes.
so they did recordings within their PowerPoint of the live clicking of their flow. So that way
Yep.
they were able to do the like quote unquote live demo, but also pause it, right? And like kind of go back. And so it wasn't at risk of getting messed up
Right.
during the live demo because of internet, because you get an error, because whatever, right? So,
Yeah.
but it still felt like live demo. So I thought that was really cool. So, yay.
I saw that years ago at Aptus Accelerate. Adam Olshansky did it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's brilliant! You can still talk to it. It walks through, but should internet crap out, you're still having a pseudo live demo."
Well, and there's less panic feeling of clicking and talking and standing, where's the microphone, and like
Sure.
blah blah blah, right? So yeah, I
I
thought that
think they
was,
used like Camtasia for that, or
yeah, something like that.
huh?
Huh.
We talked about doing that for a session we're doing at Dreamforce. Like, I have Camtasia. I'm like, that we should do that as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like flow is all over my world these days. I did a few flows on a last project and working on flows on this one and trying to learn more. And then you just said subflows. Never
And
even
then
learned about that. I
I
mean,
taught you about
everything
the
is just flow.
debugger.
Oh, that was so cool. And then I told a BA that was like, this is amazing.
I
I
know,
was
right?
like,
Where is the
share.
love? Yeah,
Yeah. Flow,
really
flow,
helpful
flow,
to make it
flow
faster.
right up.
So, hey yo. So yeah,
Is it called subflow? like for reals, or you're just calling it subflow? Is that the terminology we're
I'm calling
using?
it subflow. What's funny is part of their presentation was also about like creating some nomenclature around things that we're trying to describe. So that was kind of funny that you say
Oh,
that. But like in your palette on the left, you have flows. So you just drag it onto the flow screen flow that you're doing, the parent. You just drag the child on like you would any other, excuse me,
gotcha. All
um,
right.
thing. That's what it's the
Thing.
thing. The
The thing.
thing. So, not to go out of order from what we said we were going to talk about, but because you just were like, oh, that's what we're talking about for our Dreamforce session. So, oh, hey, did you, like get picked to present at Dreamforce? Let's talk about that, fancy pantsy.
So all of my admin sessions and .org session were denied. Cool. Fine. I was a little freaked out. I had submitted 5.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, all right, cool. I had a whole conversation with Josh about I am going to go, I'm going to pick a session a day, I'm going to learn. So he interrupts me and he was like, no, you're not. That's what you said. Last year you went to 1 session. You are not going to make it. I was like, don't you start with me. I am going to decide the couple things I want to learn. I'm going to go to a hot, and I get a call from Monica Sandberg, and she says, hey, I've got this really cool, like cooking with lightning, kind of a sketch with, lightning components without code, yada, yada. And her initial partner couldn't do it. She's
Mm.
like, would you like to step in? And I saw her kind of talking about it a little in the Gift Squad channel. And I was like, no, don't raise your hand. Like, she's going to pick who she wants. Like, cause she's super freaking smart too. And I was like, eh. So she asked me, I was like, oh my God, yes, whatever. And I'm in. She's like, do you want to hear like what it's about? I'm like, I don't even care. Just, I'm in. I'm 100% in. So we're doing this whole kind of scripted, fun little way of talking about lightning pages, lightning page layouts, lightning components, quick actions, all these fun things you can do without code. And
Mm.
we've been practicing and getting our script together. So I'm super excited about that. And that happens at like, I don't know, afternoon. So, I run out for a late lunch. I come back and I get an email that was like, hey, your admin session wasn't accepted, but we would like to have it as a campfire session. And I was like, oh, cool.
Okay. Which session is that?
Yup. I will come back to that.
Mm.
So I went from none to 2.
Look at you,
So I,
baller.
of course, tell Josh, hey, now between sessions, obligations, volunteering, hopefully my company's still going to send me. Shout out Blue Wolf, please. I haven't heard yet. I said I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, do what I wanted to do, and he just laughs. I was like, "Hey, you knock it off over there, Mr. Smith."
I mean, we
He's like,
have
"You
good
were gonna even
intentions.
anyways."
We have good
Yeah,
intentions every year. I think it's really interesting because so in my job now there's people who've never been before, right? And so it's interesting to think about. I'm like, you never been before, you could do blah, 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 like just not to like vomit excitement on them, but from a perspective of the things I want you to learn so that you can come back and let me do them. So
right.
more than just, go get all the free t-shirts and stuff. So I'm excited. I do think I did try to emphasize the like none of us should be in the same sessions at the same time. Not because I don't want to
Yeah.
like be someone's Dreamforce Sherpa, but because I I want the marketing people to go learn stuff that they're gonna come back to me and ask for, and I'm gonna have to figure out. You know what I mean? Like, and then like we like the Service Cloud stuff and the community stuff, and there's a lot of different pieces to what we're doing. So I want to make sure that we all kind of get our own flavor.
Yeah, because you can come back and chat about it
Right.
and learn from each other, especially with recorded sessions, uh, chatter session notes, um, keynotes, or there are plenty of things that aren't recorded.
Right.
So if anybody's listening to this podcast and they've never been before, we'll do a whole pre-Dreamforce show, and we'll help you figure out what you can and can't make your time for. Um, but no, I totally agree. Like divide and conquer kind of thing, and we can teach one another.
Yeah, almost like a cruise vacation, right? Like you come back together at dinner and talk about what you've been doing that day and stuff, but you don't have to all
I'm
do
sorry, did you say cruise?
all the same things. I mean, it's always on my mind.
Dude, it's happening. It is happening. Next October, 2019. I'm going to put a deposit down here soon. We're doing it.
What?
I am taking Mr. Smith 6-day cruise to the Bahamas. I already sent you the link. Shout out to anybody that wants to go. Like, we're doing this. You're booking, you're rooming with Amber. We're going Royal Caribbean. It's happening.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Two wit, one ship.
Good. I mean, are you against it?
No, I just, in my mind, I saw the movie that I'm going to talk about later, and I was like, what if we could combine going to Rise and then go get on a ship and talk about it, except it's in Minneapolis this next time. So
Oh.
last time it was in LA. So I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
but still, cruising out of LA, you have like Baja or Alaska. Like, in my opinion or my desire, I don't want to cruise to either one of those.
well, forget you then. Fine, we'll do what you want to do because that's what we always do. No, I'm just kidding.
As always. No, it's fine. You know, I'm much more content when I get my way. I mean, come on. Really, it's just better for everybody. Yeah. So I love cruises. You love cruises. Josh has never been. I watched that new Netflix movie with Kristen Bell and Kelsey Grammer on Father Like Father. And it kind of renewed, and I think I told you this, renewed my love for cruises. So we're watching it together, and Josh was like, do you like just hang out with the people you have dinner with? And I said, well, you can, you don't have to. I said, but you are assigned table mates that you'll have throughout dinner. And I was like, look at me. He said, okay. And I said, I need you to understand this right now. You order one of everything, every appetizer, every entree, and that's how we eat. He was like, why are you so serious about this? I said, because it's all included and I want to taste one of everything. You turn every dinner into tapas. And he was like, all right, God, yes, fine.
So,
Relax.
I mean, when's the last time you cruised, Melinda?
I think my 30th birthday, 10 years. Jesus, really?
So, you know,
Oh my God, are you telling me I can't do that?
no, what I'm telling you is if you want, they now have my time dining or whatever Royal Caribbean calls it. So basically, you don't have to eat dinner at the same time every day. But you don't get the same
Oh,
server anymore. So it's basically like a regular restaurant. And if they have a wait, then you get a buzzer thing. But
but is there a show? Do they still do like a napkin dance?
yes, they do. Well,
Okay.
really, you're eating at this. So, well, I think so. In On the last ship I was on, there was two stories of the restaurant, and the top story was my time,
Oh my God, it was 8 years ago. Sorry,
and the
go on.
the bottom story was regular. So we got the regular dinner show because we were in the same dining room. Sometimes it might be totally separate dining rooms, in which case I don't know. But I mean, the show is basically like a recording of that one Italian song they always do that's from like the 70s. And it's like, get it in hi fi, people. Get it together. But anyway,
I went on a cruise right after Josh and I got engaged too, so
no.
it hasn't been that long.
Clear,
I know.
clearly, this is a slippery slope because we weren't even going to talk about that. But
No, not even on the list. I'm so anyways, I'm very excited about
how about
it.
this? How
It's
about
happening.
we get two wit, one ship cruise pins?
Shut the fuck up. Don't do that to me. I really want pins real
I
bad.
know, that's what I'm saying. Then we have time to save for them, and then we'll know how many people are coming, so we can, and then they're like more exclusive instead of like
Ooh,
us paying money and then hunting down people and being like, take my pin.
this is true. I texted my bestie too. And I was like, just come. Like it's just we're hanging out. It's gonna be a good time. And she's like, okay, I just have to get her husband on board. And I was like, are you being flippant or silly? And she said, nah, I don't know if he's a big ship fan. And I was like, then leave him behind and I'll find you a roomie. This is happening.
I mean, that's
I'm not dicking around anymore. Like I'm booking it. We're going to do a family trip in July and then we're going to do this trip in October. It's a plenty of time. Commit was not on our topics to talk about.
that's okay.
How did we get there?
Because I said
Oh, you said
that
cruises
some
and I
things
lost my
like
mind.
cruises. Yeah. I
Yeah, and then I
mean,
lost my mind.
I'm on a boat, motherfucker. Don't you ever forget. Sorry.
This is
I
true.
broke the class wheel.
Another side note, because our community in Salesforce is amazing. I have gotten to learn fun new things building out the demo for the Dreamforce session.
Mm.
Um, and it's been a lot of fun too because little things that you accidentally learn together. Those things where you go to open your mouth and say, "I don't understand this," and then the process of saying I don't understand it and talking it out with someone, you figure it out.
Hmm.
It's kind of my favorite. And then I had lunch or really just tea today with Amanda. I'm gonna forget her last name. You remember her last name from the UK?
No. I love that I'm looking from my phone. Remember how I'm on it, looking at your
Yeah,
face?
same. And then, anyways, the whole point of that conversation is I've spent like, aside from actually working today, like my whole day doing work stuff and then meeting a community friend and then talking about Dreamforce sessions and then podcast recording. I was like, oh, Salesforce all the time.
That's right.
I bleed Seon blue, cayenne. How do you pronounce that? Cyan,
I think it's supposed to be cyan, but I say
cyan.
cayenne.
I bleed cyan.
I mean, you're ridiculous.
I am
Um,
indeed.
okay, so clearly we can talk about lots of things. I feel like we talked about reading this book, and so
Yeah,
we need to talk about it. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't suck me in as much as the last book we read. So here's what usually happens. I usually read faster than you, and so
always.
um I was like, okay, well, the first time I'm just going to read it all the way through. And then the second time I'll read through and put post its in it because I have time. But then I just wasn't as super motivated to read through it the second time. And in
I do
case,
like. I think I like that it made me chuckle. Like,
yeah,
I feel like it's good writing if you can actually laugh out loud to a book instead of just a in your head.
yes. Did,
I liked the honesty of it. I don't think it's a revolutionary concept that we've never heard of before.
and to level set, this is the subtle art of not giving a fuck, a,
Beep.
a counterintuitive approach to living a good life.
Which is, I mean, the whole synopsis of the book, and I really suggest anyone reads it. It's a quick, easy read. Is we talked about this before. It's not caring about anything. It's about where to allocate what you care about. And I think one of the things I really took from it that I liked was, um, life without pain, life without struggle is not a thing. Cool, we all know that.
Hmm.
But the way he kind of wrapped it back up with like, it's where to choose. You choose the pain or you choose which mountains to climb, and it's all okay to allocate your fucks to that, and that is going to get you further. Like, trying to live a life with no struggles is silly, but like overcoming those struggles, god, how did he put it?
Oh, I
Something to
have a
the effect
quote
of
for
like
you.
overcoming those. Yeah,
Are you ready? We don't
yeah, yeah,
always we don't always control what happens to us, but we always control how we interpret what happens to us as well as how we respond.
yeah,
So
yeah. I
you're
mean, like, how you
making
can't choose anything,
choices.
but you can choose how you respond, and the struggles that you decide to overcome actually make you happier. I think, again, not a revolutionary concept, but I kind of like that. Like, I am going to choose to, climb that mountain and it's hard, but overcoming that and problem solving that can make me happy or is happy in a moment. And he also says, and that's not it. Like, it's always going to be a struggle. There's always mountains. There's always something to climb. And that problem solving and getting over it is actually a way to be in a better place or a happier place than like this. I don't have struggles.
Well, and especially because it talks about like in order to value something and give a fuck about something, you're rejecting what is not that something, right? So the idea that you can live without rejecting or without pain, right? Or just avoidance, like if you're choosing to do something, you're choosing not to do the opposite. So like you're technically rejecting that option, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
like you need to do that because otherwise you don't stand for anything.
And he talks about like, how does he phrase it? Hope for a life with good problems. And I was like, that's a really good way to put it. Like,
Hmm.
instead of saying, I hope it's stress free or problem free, more like, I hope there's problems that I can overcome. I feel good about executing solutions to. So, again, I've said it 3 times It's not, wow, that's such a crazy, a revolutionary concept, but it's written very humorously. Like, what did we talk? What did you text me about the burrito? I would have to go the panda and the burrito. Like, it's silly, but I like the way it's written because it's kind of like that no nonsense friend that you have that you're like, I'm just not really sure you want. I just am not sure happy. Like, get over your shit, pick a thing,
Well,
move on.
but it's also interesting because I think it's relatable in he talks about how he evolved to realizing a lot of these things. And so one of them that kind of struck me, um, that we've talked about before is like the implication that more is always better, right? Make more money, visit more countries, have more
Sure,
experiences, be with
more,
more
more, more.
women or men, right? And I think, we've talked about like the memes, right? Like meme life of like do more, be more, run harder, be faster, right? And
Hashtag enlightenment.
right? Ugh, don't even so in terms of the way in this example, right, it's the idea of like that we're actually often happier with less, and that
Mm,
if you have too many options, that you've got the paradox of choice. So the second thing I highlighted was while investing deeply in one person, one place, one job, one activity might deny us the breadth of experience that we'd like, pursuing a breadth of experience denies us the opportunity to experience the rewards of depth of experience, right? And so I think
I love
that
that.
there's some things, there's some experiences you can only have when you've lived in the same place for 5 years, when you've been with the same person for over a decade, when you've been working on the same skill or craft for half your life, right? So
Right.
and it kind of is funny. I feel like that theme is popping up for me in various ways, right? Of not trying to do all the things and be good at all the things, and it's okay to let some of that go
Yeah.
and be good at what you're good at.
Well, and the whole part that he had about, between movies and social media. Now, I will say, I get that there's a lot out there saying don't compare yourself to social media. It's a lie. I don't subscribe to that. So like there's part of me that's like, well, fucking duh. But I get that that is a struggle for some people. So I will acknowledge that, even though I sound, meh about it. So I like that he says that we're not all exceptional people. Like, by and large, we're all pretty average doing an average thing, and that's fine.
Hmm.
Picking problems that we overcome. But this like notion that, you know, we'll be picked out of a crowd at a concert, or if this one person just hears me sing, I'll get a record contract, is really misleading and can cause you actually, more grief than just acknowledging that we're all pretty average. We're average in what we do, and that's super cool. And you want to be a drummer? I think he said drummer, right? That's fine, but you have to practice and do X, Y, and Z, and that's not really what you want to commit to. So you don't really want to, and that's fine. You
Right.
can just be an average drummer. Like, we're all pretty average, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think on the other hand, I do think it's interesting to learn about people or to have someone who's done the thing to to I don't know, sometimes I feel like that inspires a good hope, right? That like, oh, this person
Mhm.
came up from nothing. But on the other hand, like you say, like that might be kind of a unique story and that might be really fucking hard. Like it's not like even if they do end up at this place, there's you don't hear about the rejections that they had along the way or the other 50 things they tried that they sucked at, right? So maybe it was maybe they had the same circumstance as you and chose to respond to it differently, and that motivates them differently, and like you say, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of um, just focusing on less things, and he talks about being in Russia and this sense of how Russians like give zero fucks and are very honest, and how it kind of relates to like back in the day that they had to rely on trust, and so like to be able to trust someone is to be honest, but if you're not used to it, then people sound very abrupt or rude because we're in this weird place of like being different around different people and being who you think people want you to be, and those kinds of the nonsense that we worry about, that if you can kind of let some of that go and be your, I mean, don't be an asshole, right? But um
Less is really more. I just had this conversation, and I'm going to phrase this carefully because I understand the privilege that I've been raised with. But there was a time in my life that I was electively, I will say electively, like poor, like
mhm,
digging cigarette butts out of ashtrays to like smoke a cigarette when I smoked. And I know that if I had reached out for help, I probably could have gotten it. But, sharing a packet of gum or top ramen with the guy I lived with for a week. And I wasn't talking to family at that time, so it was a choice. So I'm not making light of that, but then, spending a lot of time trying to build yourself, it does seem so much easier when you have nothing. Because there's no question.
mm,
There's not like, do I put this $200 in savings? Do I buy some pins for to it?
mhm,
There isn't a question that was going to feed you. It's going to pay rent, and
mm.
maybe you can get some beer later with a friend. It is a lot easier. I'm very grateful for what I have and where we are now, but I see a lot of simplicity in having less. And I had a lot of conversations with Josh this week because we were house sitting for his sister, and we got to be able to sit on a porch. And we don't have a porch here, and his porch was like near a city, so it was very nice. And we just did a little chatting, and we talked about we don't want to be things people. Yes, I want a stable home. I want to be able to make sure my kids taken care of, but I don't care about things and stuff and things. Like, he keeps telling me to buy a car, and I don't wanna because it seems like effort. But anyways, like, I'm kind of derailing here, but I understand his notion of less is more.
Well,
And
and I can see, so I think there's different ways to think about it, right? You need as many things? Maybe not, right? And that, I think, speaks to your throw the shit away when I'm moving mentality. Um, but like considering the car part, right? Like to me, it's how does that speak to what you do give a fuck about, right? Like,
right.
is it impeding your quality of life? Is it impeding your
Sure.
safety? Is it impeding your efficiency? Right? Like, so, and then, okay, so let's say that yes, it would be valuable to your family to have a different vehicle. Then I think there's a mentality around the decision of what you get, right?
Yeah,
Of,
no.
and we've talked about this too, of I don't need the shiniest, newest, biggest car because I'm gonna drive it till the wheels fall off, and I'm probably gonna run into shit.
Yeah.
So, like then I think you can still have the things, but being more conscious of the choice of why
Yeah.
you want them and how they make you feel, and um what they signify, because I think that's the danger, is when things start to signify success or signify a lack of success, right?
Or I it's a slippery slope when a thing defines your happiness. I had a conversation with a woman yesterday that was my Reiki person,
Mhm.
coach, master. I'm not sure her official
Reikiist.
title. Reikiist. The Reikiist is the bestiest.
Mhm.
Um, and she has this beautiful home. She's a designer too. So it's like totally built, mid-century modern, but with like all these homey touches. And we had a similar conversation that I'm not so much concerned about things, but when I have a thing, it's like my treasure, and it's super important to me. And I love the thing that I love so much, and it's the little treasure that I have in my little special place or whatever. But um, on the heels of the book, you know, allocating or giving a fuck about the right things is, the Reiki session that I went to. Um, I have been, I don't know, trying to figure some shit out,
Mm.
trying to. All right, I'm going to say a thing, and some people are not going to
Ooh, okay.
agree. Um, I in no way am discrediting or not understanding people that are sick. I at all. I don't mean that. But for many years, I have felt like you can give energy to and from disease. You can talk yourself into being sick. You can be addicted to different peptides. You can create your own illnesses. Now, again, there's a difference between that broken bone, you caught a virus.
Right.
But this whole autoimmune thing, autoimmune falls into a bucket with a lot of other things that, like, they don't really know where it comes from. They don't really know why. Some accounts are like, nothing you eat will or won't fix it. Other accounts are like, that's
Mm-hmm.
wrong. Obviously, I feel like that's wrong. So I have been trying to make sure, along with mental health, that I explore all options. So I went and saw this Reikiist. Is that what we're calling her? Sure.
Sure.
So she does energy work, but it's like a mixture of like energy work and like therapy in a sense. In a sense. And in talking with her, kind of her basic overall concept before we did the energy work was like, release that which doesn't serve you, which is a lot along the lines of like the subtle art of giving a fuck. Like, where are you going to give
Mm-hmm.
your fucks to? And this one is like, does that serve you? Does that emotion, does that fear, does that panic, do those things, do those relentless thoughts do you any good? No. Cool. Let it go. Don't do it. Kind of
Hmm.
thing. I am crazy abbreviating, and
Yeah.
it is much more deep than that. But it's funny how you go in thinking, and much like therapy, you go in thinking, I'm going to talk about this thing and we're going to deal with this. And what it really came down to is, and I don't, whatever, like the people that listen to us, I don't care that they know. I think it all, for me, has come down to like fear since I became a mom,
Hmm.
fear of blowing it.
There's no
Um,
manual.
no, like screwing up, fear of like my kid dying, fear of doing it wrong,
Hmm.
fear of being a terrible wife. So I didn't really know that going into it, that that's what we were going to discuss. That was not my intention.
Right.
But, and then she was really kind of real with me. She's like, well, what scared you about X, Y, and Z? And I said, well, today's the first day. My daughter's almost 6 that I let her go to my dad's house for a couple hours without me. And she's like, so what's that about? And I said, well, I feel like he's absent-minded and he won't take care of her. And she's like, cool. Is that true? No. Is that
Mm.
reality? No. She's like, then let it go. She's like, you can acknowledge these other emotions, and then just let them go. They don't serve you. They're not there. It's energy passing through you. It isn't going to change anything. She's like, you can love her and protect her to a degree. She's like, but that's it. She's like, the rest of hers it's all on her. And then we did the energy work, which, involved um, essential oils and crystals um, and like the Tibetan bowls and those
Mm.
frequency, those levels, the vibration, the noise. I'm not saying it right. Like the noise from a Tibetan bowl or like a crystal, and it's a different frequency that's supposed to resonate differently with your chakras. So it was really amazing. And, she talked about calling upon your higher self. Like, we really are made of nothing but love and goodness, but we get busy with ourselves and our ego and not even just ego isn't necessarily a bad thing, but your
So it's
brain is like this nonstop go, 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 go is always talking to you. And it's not stuff
is it
I don't
something that
know.
you've
This is
done you just haven't done in a while that you are getting back to realizing how you like
say again.
doing it? Is the Reiki something that you like do often or that you just haven't done in a while and you just felt like you
Never did
needed?
it before. I was a
Mm.
suggestion from my sister-in-law. When she first suggested it, I was struggling to find the therapist that I felt was good for me.
Mhm.
And then I was telling her my concept of like, I got sick after my daughter was born, and I have a hard time believing that, like, now it's just me. These are my beliefs. I'm not putting it on anyone, but that I made myself sick somehow because it's this nondescript thing that kind of comes and goes and it depends on stress and is it a medicine, blah, blah, blah. And I've been struggling with it. And I was like, I just need to know
Hmm.
as an energy worker or somebody that can go in and say, yeah, and again, you want to call them chakras, you want to call them computer centers, you want to call your body your energy. This is something that not everyone gets and or subscribes to. And I totally get that and respect it. But for me, I've just always felt like if this is not like a broken leg or I caught a virus, I have the flu, you know, where is it coming from?
Hmm.
So, and talking to like angels and reading tarot cards, like that's stuff I've always done. That's who I've always been. And it's like the moment I became a mom, I just stopped. I stopped doing all of that. I was like, there's no time for woo woo. I have to be steeped in reality. I have a human now. Well, and the joke I always make, which is funny that she actually kind of brought up, is I was always the girl that was never afraid of anything. I thought myself brave, and now I'm like afraid in planes and afraid in cars and afraid in boats. I went on a stupid raft at Waterworld that contains 7 people, including children, and I'm like, oh, I hope this thing doesn't flip over. Or what? You'll be on a slide without the raft? Like, calm down. And I just always was like, whatever happens, happens. And that's not my story, just all like flowy. And the moment I had a kid, and I was like, fuck that. Not whatever happens, happens. I have a human. I'm in control. And, the universe was like,
And how's that
oh,
working out
oh,
for you?
yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, that's not working out. So I went in with a completely different idea of what I thought it was going to be and came out with like a cool, okay, I want to reconnect to the girl I think I put on a shelf when I became a mom.
I love that. I think it's also interesting because my gut reaction is to be like, you're not a failure as a mom and you're a good wife and you're a good friend and you're, but like, that's, it's okay to feel those things, right? But like you say, like recognizing and owning, I think for me, that's why um, depression medication
Mm,
helps me because it helps me remember, like it gives, I still have the shitty feelings sometimes, but it helps me rationalize that, like, oh, you're just having a bad day, right? Like you're not a bad human and the world's going to end, right? Like that
right.
slippery slope.
And those thoughts are liars.
Well, sure. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that they're not your feelings and it's not okay for you to
Totally.
feel them, you know?
No.
So, um,
But your mind telling you that you're bad or it's or like, and depression can lie to you, but it's real. It's so real. It's how you feel.
mhm. Well, I'm happy that you found something to start giving you back some woo woo.
I do. And I've missed the woo woo and it's like I keep trying to dip my toe back in. I pass metaphysical stores and I'm like, oh, I'm too busy for that. Or I'll do gratitude for a while and think, I started re-listening to Breakfast with Buddha and, I try and meditate, but then I'm like, I'm busy. I have to be practical. I have a meeting this morning. I better get lifting my weights in so I can go to my meeting. And I was like, the thing is, this is who I've been for so long. I'm like, what happened?
But I
So
think it's also important, like, you also are prioritizing exercise to take care of your physical health so that
totally.
you, so it's, it's not all, there's different approaches to get to the same goal. So maybe
I
you
just
just
went in there
had to do the
thinking like,
practical for a while and now you
yeah.
can figure out how to blend them together because you're just so good at that part.
Well, I mean, I know what it's like to be single. I know what it's like to do my own thing.
Hmm.
And then, at 32, I got married, and at 33, well, 34, I had a kid. And all of a sudden, I was like, what is happening? There are humans in my life that I care more about than myself. I don't understand what's going on. No time for fucking crystals and chakra bullshit. I have to focus on reality.
But
That
like,
stuff is crap.
but then what if it makes you better yourself and then you can only be that much better for those people?
Well, now, yeah. I
Oh.
mean, tapping back into that. And like I told you, the whole reason I went to her was like, I need you to go find the energy in my body where I've lost it. And I feel like I'm creating this own illness in myself. Again, disclaimer, I'm not discrediting autoimmune diseases. I'm just saying I wanted another avenue. Um, and then I went in and then it was like, all of a sudden I was, a blubbering mess. Like I am scared. I'm not, I'm like, why am I so afraid of everything? And So it was really good. I don't know if it's one of those like I'm going to go on a monthly basis or not, or but she's suggested some some practices and meditation techniques,
Hmm,
which I typically do, and then a book to listen to. So I'm like, all right, I'm heading in the right direction.
I like it.
And she had a beautiful home, so I'm like, wow, that is amazing.
And I know how to spell chakra, so that's saying something. Um,
Years ago, I listened to a book when it was on tape, call it Anatomy of the Spirit by Carol. And she's like, you want to call it a chakra or a computer or an energy center, whatever. And it made me laugh because it was such a woo woo book. And she was like, look, you don't want to call
whatever.
it that? Don't call it that.
Whatever you want to do. So,
Right.
um, I feel like this is I it's funny how things maybe take, again, not what you thought you might talk about, right? But um I think between the book and what you're talking about, and I went to see the Made for More documentary, which was the other book that we read, Girl Wash Your Face, written by Rachel Hollis. We've talked about her conference that she does called Rise, and it is in this documentary. So they basically made a
Oh,
movie about the conference. And so I went as a Women in Tech meetup. And it's funny because I was just enjoying it, right? And then she started saying some things I wanted to remember, so I started texting you. I'm like, just ignore me. I should have just opened a note on my phone or something, but I was just in the moment. But and part of what I think, right, as we've been talking about some of the stuff in the book and what you were just saying, one of the illustrations that she kind of talked about was about, you can have so many dreams, but trying to narrow down to focus, because, like, what's your one thing for this season? Because if you consider the surface of a lake, if you throw a handful of pebbles, you're still making a splash and an impact, and the ripples, but they're smaller than if you throw a boulder in the middle, right? In terms of the
yeah,
splash
if you can lift it,
and
right.
the effect that you have. So if you're focusing on, whatever the thing may be to get you to the place, you can't just be like, I want to write a book. Like, there's a lot of micro goals
Right.
along the way to that. And similarly to, it's not like you only give a fuck about one thing and say no to everything else, but it's just about prioritizing that thing. And she recommends an hour a day, 5 days a week. What I thought was
Oh,
great
to what?
to dedicate to your thing, to your goal, right?
Okay, so if you're a writer or you want to write or you want to learn a new thing.
Yep. That it's just about dedicate, like we all say we don't have time, right? And about finding a way to dedicate time. And it was interesting because I think I told you I hadn't seen my therapist in 2 months. And when I scheduled it, and it was like, wait, I'm okay enough that I'm not going to see my therapist for 2 months? Like, this is kind of interesting. So when I was scheduling again, she was like, I mean, do you want to go another 2 months? And I was like, no, I don't think, like, I'm quite like, not ready to totally, but the fact that I'm even considering it is interesting. But she was like, remember that with ADD, it tends to be very all or nothing. So make sure that if you're setting these type of goals, that you maybe try 30 minutes first for a week,
Mm.
right? Or be
Yeah, and
reasonable
use your
with
cube.
yourself and use my cube. Yep. Be reasonable with yourself to set yourself up for success, because with ADD, you don't think of the entire target, you think of the bullseye. And so that was a really
That's so
good
smart.
metaphor in my mind, especially
Yeah.
with, like, I'm going axe throwing this weekend. I haven't been in a while. So, just like, I don't know. But so that
No,
was
it's
a
smart
great,
too,
like I say, it all
especially
kind of plays together.
I mean, obviously she's a trained professional and she knows you, but that's smart because it's easy to feel defeated in I'm going to do this new thing. I'm going to dedicate an hour a day. Oh, I can't, or I'm tired, or I had a long day at work, or I spent 4 hours unit testing and I don't have it in me. So you just don't do it all together. When
Well,
her advice is, okay, start small. How about we do 15 minutes?
yeah.
And that's so much more digestible, and maybe you only do 15. An hour wasn't the rule, but you feel like it's a rule, and then you just like I. That's so smart.
Well, and I think the great thing about Rachel Hollis and what she talked about was, this is what's worked for me, and I want you, even if you just take some nuggets, right? Similar to the book, right? Is like,
Right.
this is kind of my story, and this is the things I've learned that I think can be helpful to you, right? But um, there was like, for example, don't be okay with just being okay. And I think to me that is part of the impetus that I've taken to go to therapy before, right? Like, I'm not living on the street, but I'm also not living my best life, like,
Right.
and how, and tools to work toward that, right? But she also talked about how the conference and the things that they're talking about um, are not for you to be told who you are, but reminded who you are. And I thought that was really interesting because they
Right.
talk about all these things that you identify with, and then you realize there's all these other women. But you know what? Like, we've gotten through some shit. If you've survived to 35, you've had some shit happen. And you know what? You probably thought at some point that everything was bad and horrible and whatever, but like, don't forget, like, that was you,
Mm-hmm.
and so, like, reminded who you are, and I think it's tough for us to do that sometimes because it feels like, don't be, it's easier to be self-deprecating.
Totally.
um but like, you've made those decisions to move on from things. You've made the choices to react and control the things you can control, and this is where you're at, and you can go somewhere else if you want because you're a fucking badass.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So of course, so it was, there was three of us there, and it was like, blah, you get out of there and you're like, I want to do everything, blah. So one
Yeah,
thing that was
totally.
one thing that was interesting is I've always had heard drink 8 glasses of water a
Oh
day.
yeah. Back in the day, sure.
But now apparently, which I just now learned, I'm apparently the last one on the planet, is that you're supposed to take your weight, half your weight, and then drink that a number of ounces of water per day.
Yeah, half your body weight in ounces.
So, that sounds like a great idea until I realized that's over a gallon of water.
Well, you don't have to do it by 9.
I'm not saying I do, but it was hard. I tried
Yeah.
yesterday, especially because I ordered tea at lunch and then tea doesn't count.
Uh-uh.
And then if you don't, I don't wake up until like 9. So then or that's a lie. I get to work at 9, right? So then I'm like, I'm already behind. And then I'll talk about how I'm kind of tracking it. So again, I talked to my therapist about it, and she's like, so how can you, again, be on the target with
Not
not
the bull.
being on the bullseye? And I was like, I can start with 8 glasses of 8 ounces, right? So I can do half a gallon a day. And I can do more than that, right? But that way I'm not suffering for doing less than that. And that kind of,
Or like beating yourself up for not meeting a goal that you just literally created.
well, and that ties into my first super fave because you know me, as soon as I was like, we walked out and we're like, okay, we started a group chat together. We're going to be accountability friends. We're going to do this fucking water thing. So, I need an app to track
Yeah, of
it, to
course.
keep track of my life. So I
Yeah.
found this app called Plant Nanny, which I thought was about watering your plants, which I definitely don't have any plants. But really, it's like you have a little plant that's you, right? And so as you
Aww.
track your water, it waters your little plant. And so, but yesterday, when I already sort of fudged my weight to say that I was supposed to drink a gallon, my little plant was sad all day, and I tried. And so I changed it today so that
Are you a
now my
chugger
plant
by
is happier.
chance?
Not as much. So at work, I'm
I
actually,
just chug. Like I get up, I have a cup, a tiki cup that's like 24
yep.
ounces, and I just fucking chug it. Like just, and I don't have to make it too cold. So I'm like, okay, one down. Whoa! And like and when I have to have it, like I have a water bottle, obviously, that like
Hmm.
throughout the day, blah blah blah.
But
And
that's the
so it's
thing. I don't
easy.
want to drink random water because I need it in a container that I know the size of to track it.
Totally.
And so
Camelback,
I well,
Amazon.
So no, I have my yes, but I have my Accenture cup from Witness Success that was on my chair at the
Mhm.
Allies dinner. That's 16 ounces. So it's a good also like I don't drink coffee, so I don't take coffee breaks, right? So the pee and water cycle that has evolved um is good at work. So I drink like 16 ounces at a time. And then when I have to pee, I'm like, oh, I didn't finish it yet, and I don't want to get up twice. So then I do kind of chug it. But anyway, the point is good new habit, right? So again, the first day felt sort of
Target and
disheartening.
Google.
I have an infusion water bottle. I need to A,
Ooh.
clean it, B, buy fruit to put in it. But again, I'm not letting that like not do the thing and stop me, but just that accountability. So yeah. So
Which
that's
which
something
rolled into your super fave.
it did. So
Now, before I move into mine, did you want to talk about audacious or no?
well, I just thought I texted you the word audacious because
It's fucking awesome.
well, it resonated. I'm sorry. They said it a lot in various ways, right? And they talked a lot and but so her husband is in the business now with her, right? So
Mhm.
they did like a Q&A with them at the end of the documentary, which haha, some people walked out and missed it. Suckers. Um but it
Treat it
was
like a
interesting.
Marvel movie.
It was right. It was interesting because we've talked, I think, about the big, hairy, audacious goal, right? Like that's a thing.
Yes.
But
Yes, I'm missing a BHAG right now. We'll
she
come
she
another one.
talks about the big dream, and like no one's gonna give as much of a shit about your dream. Well, she doesn't say shit, but as you do, and that and it kind of reminds me of the first like Southeast Dreaming or Witness Success, right? Like you kind of plan it and commit before it's really a thing, and
Totally.
like it's an odd date. Like the things that end up having a lot of impact often take you outside your comfort zone and are the big audacious fucking things, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just interesting. I feel like I wonder if they intentionally do that or they realize like how often that word comes up in some of the things that they're talking about for themselves and for kind of the message that they're trying to get across.
I like it though. Here.
Yeah. So the book was great. I'm not above maybe going to the Rise conference next year. It's in Minneapolis.
Oh,
This
well, we
next
have a lot of
time
friends in that area. I
we
mean,
do
I do. Well, a lot of the gift squads near that area.
could be a thing.
So by we, I
Um,
mean me.
so yeah, so that might be a thing. She's also coming out with another book next year called Girl Don't Apologize.
Ooh,
Um,
that's my favorite. Stop saying sorry and stop with is it just what is the word? Back in the day it was like eliminate. I just wanted to. I was
oh,
just hoping.
like
It's
that Chrome extension I don't have anymore that like underlines those words for you
yeah,
in
like
emails
eliminate don't start anything with I'm sorry
or
and
I
stop saying
think
just.
or
Now,
maybe that kind of stuff. But yes.
yeah.
So
Just
yeah.
as a side note, if anyone doesn't want to Google, audacious means showing a willingness to take surprising, bold risks, showing an impudent lack of respect.
Ooh,
Ooh,
impudent.
I like impudent.
Um. So yeah, there you go. I liked it. You can't see it anymore because it was only out for 2 days, and this was the second day because I was in Portland for the first day or Denver. I was
Was it
somewhere.
everywhere?
Yeah, well, it was one of those like encore special showing events that was at
Yeah.
multiple theaters at the same time,
I kind of feel like
only
you
on
never
one day.
told me about it.
I'm 100% sure that I told you about it.
I
I
mean,
texted you. I'm pretty sure I texted you an Instagram picture of it.
and what's the name of the movie again?
Made for More.
I just don't feel like that's resonating with me.
Well, I'm sorry that you missed it, but you got live tweet texting
This is true.
during
I
the
did.
movie,
I did
so
a
it's
lot of texting.
basically like you were there. So it was a great thing to plan for my wit groups. I'm happy that
That's
someone
actually
someone
really
didn't
cool. What a
show
great
up,
thing
but
to
that's
take them
fine.
to.
But I bought 10 tickets, got to return some, so that's good.
You can return
Um,
tickets?
apparently, to these things you can.
Hmm. I'll be damned.
I didn't know either. And so yeah, it was great. And now I'm tracking my water.
You're
So
a little plant.
at Dreamforce too, right? We're gonna be sucking down the water.
So 16-ounce free water bottle. I know that speaks to you. But if you get the Camelback one I'm talking about, it's 24 ounces.
Dude, Lisa, Ranger Lisa, who sits next to me, has the 32. But then, do you put ice in it? Because
That depends on how you like your water. I am fine with ice melting. I'm fine with room temperature water.
oh, I'm thinking of more the ice melts. But then, technically, did I actually drink 16 ounces of water? But that's just being too fastidious. Like,
No,
just
for sure. Like
the goal, just
just
drink.
mind fuck yourself for that, for sure.
Take one extra little shot, and you've made up for it. Like, heaven forbid you get a little bit of extra fucking water.
I need to track that data.
But I can't actually. So now reduced my goal in this app, but I can't overwater my plant. So I drank more water, and I was proud of myself. And I tried to track it, and it just didn't even care.
No, it'll
But
turn yellow.
it's a cute little plant, though. I'm growing a dandelion.
Lightning. So I was trying to find a really cool app for the super faves. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like I haven't done anything techie in a while. So I went on to look at Carvana, I don't know, Arvana. And then was like the app of the day, and it was like Bitmoji yourself. It's the one I sent you, and it was just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not my super fave. My first super fave is along the lines of everything we've been talking about. Instead of just keeping notes in my phone of gratitude, I have been texting Jean and Jocelyn. Shout out Jean Valonis, Jocelyn Fenewald. Gratitude. Just three
Mm.
little things that I'm grateful for. And then I posted on Twitter today that, you know, Leah McGowan here, at Dreamforce. Nope.
Witness.
Leah talked at Witness Success about grit and grace. So that was our theme. And then she talked about gratitude being the bridge between grit to grace. And there is many things out there, I'm sure, that we've all read about how gratitude makes you happier, yada yada. And then I throw yada yada on there. So I've been trying to
Whatever. Gratitude
yeah, I've
makes
been
you
trying to practice that.
happy.
So it's been nice to text it to a couple girlfriends, a little bit, like you said, like the accountability. Like
Mm-hmm.
yes, I can say I'm grateful, but we made a commitment a few days ago or a week ago to do it for the next 3 days, and we've been kind of keeping it up. But um, the super fave is remembering in your stress and your drama and your life, and oh, I'm stressed out about what to do with the $200, or oh my God, I'm not sure I can pay all the bills this month. Cool. Well, I still have a place to live. I have toilet paper. I am healthy. I have my coffee, like little stuff. So I've been kind of digging on the global community love of gratitude again. It's not new, it's not different, but it does kind of recenter you on, and it's not even geared towards the people that are being curmudgeon or frustrated, just in general. Like, if you just
Mm-hmm.
remember to be thankful for, I'm thankful for that I have 17 hoodies that I cherish deeply in every part of my soul. Like, that's silly, but it does make you smile and remember. And I feel like it makes you calmer in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's easier to go into your day when you have woken up, did whatever your morning ablutions are, and say, okay, I'm grateful for X, Y, and Z. And then you're like, all right, then I got this day.
Start off positive.
Yeah,
Put out what you want in the world. I like it.
I like it too.
So, I'm happy to be home. Actually, as much as I have had great adventures the past 60-ish days, the last of which was Forcelandia, which is in Portland and involves some of my favorite Salesforce humans, and
Mm, so
also
jealous.
then involves wine tasting. Um, I should say that my super fave, I kind of want to, just because I can. But I was as talking about wine. One thing I love is that the people around me um, help make things happen when sometimes I'm not great at that. So I don't know if Facebook targets you in the same way it does with ads as me, with those Brewmate um, insulated cups for wine
Yeah,
that are like
amazing.
glittery. Okay,
Yeah, by the
so
way, some people use those for coffee. Huh, learned
lies.
that. Weird.
There's also a beer can insulator one, but I put out the idea that we should order them and like each order a color. So then, as we were drinking all weekend, like we'd have the right thing. And the lovely and talented Stephanie First got some blue ones in your favorite cayenne-ish color, and made put our names on them with her silhouette cutter, and like
What?
made us personalized cups.
She freaking crafted you
And
cups?
they have sippy cup lids.
Yes, they do. I have one.
So they're not the brewmate ones, but similar concept. But again, I'm the kind of person, I see a thing, I'm like, we should do this, and then sometimes I buy the stuff and then I don't finish the thing. But I have people in my life that take things and run with them and get them done. And then I serve other, I'm the comic relief, and I drive and scare people when I don't handle roundabouts correctly. But
And you're a calming energy, and you're non-judgmental, and you are a good person to be around, and you're a good conversationalist.
yeah. Oh, hi. But one of my favorite inventions, specifically, they sell them at Argyle, which is, if you have the chance to be in
It's a
outside
store.
Portland. No, it is a winery that makes
Oh,
some lovely sparkling wines, and so you need to buy some. And they sell these. They're made by 3M. It's a bubble. Um, I love that I'm popping bubbles to you, like you'll know what I'm like.
I mean, I can see it.
Bubble wrap in a bubble wrap wine sleeve. So basically, it's in the shape of a bottle, and you stick the bottle in it, and that's how I ended up almost paying an overage fee on my suitcase because I was safely carting home about 5 bottles of wine from
So you
Portland.
brought CBD from Denver and wine from Willamette Valley,
I mean,
and you're not in jail.
it's possible that after going to Portlandia for an event called Forcelandia, I also stopped at a dispensary called Budlandia.
Shut the fuck up.
Because
That's amazing.
how could we not go to that one? I looked on Yelp and I'm like, what, Angela, like, how could we not go to that one? Um,
I'm dying
so
right
yeah, so clearly I like a good pun, and I like wine and pot. So sorry if I'm not committing to anything about how it got from other states to my house, but magic.
My
Sorry, Dad.
girlfriend's daughter is 10 months old and she's been sick this week. Ear infection, blah, blah, blah. So she sent me a text that was like, okay, well, now we're going back to urgent care because I think she is having a reaction to the antibiotics. So I sent her a
Mm.
text that was like, I love you, Mama. You're doing a good job. Can I bring you dinner or wine or weed? And she was like, I really love that you covered all bases. And I was like, well, what do you need, honey?
That's right. I mean,
I got you.
that's right.
I can get all legally here. So to wrap this up and be like a total freaking left turn here,
Ooh,
one of
what you
my other
got?
super faves is we finished season 2 of Goliath on Amazon
Ooh.
Prime with Billy Bob Thornton.
Ooh, I haven't seen it.
Really good. Highly suggested. A great, great show. But it is dark as shit sometimes. So we watched season 1, great. Still some dark shit. Season 2, I think we had 2 or 3 episodes left, and I am terrible about spoilers. I'm gonna tell everyone out there, I like spoilers. I appreciate them. I just, for someone that likes surprises, I don't like surprises. Like it stresses me the F out. So if I know a little bit better. So and Josh hates that shit. Like hates it. Ruins it for him. But in the app, the Amazon Prime app, it kind of gives you a synopsis for the next few episodes. So it appeared ruined for us. The one sentence for the 3 episodes we hadn't seen. So we didn't watch it for like a week. So we finished them all the other night. And what I thoroughly enjoyed is it gave me in a synopsis enough to make me feel like I feel content, but they were not clear.
Ooh,
That's not
they
the right
still
word.
blew your mind?
Yes, totally. And it's kind of a fucked up show. Like, there was one point where I told Josh, well, X, Y, and Z won't happen because that's kind of brutal or messed up. and
Boom.
totally happened. And I
Of
was
course it
like,
did.
"Oh, wow. Yep, they are not messing around. That shit actually happened."
Hold my
So,
beer. Can't happen?
yeah, Billy Bob does a really great job. There's another, her name in the show is Brittany. She's an amazing actress. She's been in a few things too, but I have really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. So get
Perhaps
on
I'll
it.
add it to my queue. Thank you
Oh, thank
for
you.
being you.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too. Have a great week. If you're listening to this still, because we always say we're not going to go very long, and then
I
somehow we
don't.
do,
I always say I'm going to go long.
but stay witty.
Brip, brip.